Okay. So the reason why we're here today is because Olga and I have been working on a curriculum to bring an extra set of resources to our members. Okay? And I want to, before we dive in, I just want to give you guys a background of it. So, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is a federal agency that works outside of Congress, Senate, and even the executive office. Okay, they work completely independent from our government. But it is a federal agency. They get the funding from the federal government. And they have become the watchdog for us, the consumer. So regardless of income bracket or anything, demographics or anything, they watch out for the consumer. So they go after companies, organizations, etc. I know some of us might remember the whole thing with Wells Fargo that happened a couple of months, about a year ago. And then the student debt agents, loan services and all that stuff, they're the ones that initiated a lot of the lawsuits and everything on behalf of the consumers. So we partnered with them a little while back. We did a trainer. Okay, we quickly realized that the setup that they had was not practical for us. So ever since then, we've been spending some time trying to figure out how to make it more practical to us. So I think that we've come to a point where we found it. Okay? This is something that our members are going to be able to come to a series of workshops that is going to cover specific topics, and they're going to be able to lead with resources. Not only resources from the federal government or the state, but also reinforce the resources that we have here in the council for mails, housing, etc. So so all the information that we're going to cover today, as you're going to see, what we're going to do is we're going to do the pilot presentation. We're going to do a mock presentation to hopefully be able to develop a final presentation to give to members. Okay? So we're going to need your feedback. We're going to give it to me straight. Okay? I printed out the entire presentation so you can be able to make notes by slides. I gave you all a book so you guys can follow with the book. And we're going to stop in certain areas and we're going to switch and do a couple of other things different. But everything that you're going to experience today, I really want 100% honest feedback of, of what you think worked and didn't work or what can be improved. Okay? Because we're looking to roll this out next month. So this is not another year-long process. Olga and I are having discussions, okay? And we're looking to roll this out literally next month, okay? So again, you got a copy of your book. You got a copy of the presentation. Olga is gracing us with her presence. She's extremely busy. I harassed her to death until she finally got on that 6:30 train this morning. Okay.
It is my honor to be here.
And I got her here because ASME is also in partnership with the CFPB at this moment. And, again, this is all a collaboration that we work with to get a final product. So, DC 37 will bring Behind on Your Bills as a workshop to members. Okay? We're still in the process of not identifying, but more in the process of finalizing if it's going to be a series of workshops. Okay, so your feedback is crucial in these minutes. Or if it's just going to be a one workshop follow-up model. Okay? So I want to start. So welcome everyone. Okay, thank you for taking the time to come here today. My name is Alex Rodriguez. I am the director of the Office of Community Partnerships here at DC 37. Okay. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I've been a member for about roughly 10 years. I used to work for the city, for the Department of Education. I was a parent coordinator. Any of you got kids in the room? I used to be that when your kid was absent, That person that will call your house, text you, email you, harass you to death, where's your child, where's your child? I used to do that. So I did that for about 9 years. And then shortly after that, I came into the union to work for the council. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about behind on your bills. And everyone, when they signed in, they should have gotten a copy of this book. So if you didn't, this is the time. So please make sure you have a copy. Okay. And we're going to cover this book. Okay. So we're going to make sure that when you leave here today, okay, you have a good understanding of this book. Plus, you'll learn one or two, possibly three new things about if you're behind in your bills or your personal finances to get them rolling. So the objective today is to utilize this tool here. We're going to call this a tool, this booklet. To utilize this book here, this booklet, to identify moments in which you can use this booklet or tool in your own financial life. And second, to be able to use this booklet or tool to help you take steps to reach your financial goals. So I'm going to talk a little bit about CFPB and how a little bit more about we got to where we are now. Also, we're going to talk about the book, and we're going to end today's workshop with a lot of the DC-37 resources that we have here in the building available to you. The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, okay? Like I said, is the work to make sure that consumer financial markets work for consumers, responsible providers, and the economy as a whole. What does that mean in English? They're there for us. This agency, you can call them with complaints. If you have a problem with Cablevision, okay, and they're not giving you good service for your money, file a complaint. If you have student debt and you have issues with your loan servicer, file a complaint. See that, and the reason I bring this up is because a lot of us, we're very good to complain to other people about what's wrong, okay, or how things should be different. But we do it to each other. We really don't tend to complain or file complaints with the organization that can help us very long. So the CFPB does a couple of things. They empower, okay? They enforce. Like I mentioned earlier, the CFPB works outside of the federal government. They enforce rules and regulations, and they educate. This is how we got to today. Before we get started, okay, into the booklet, I want to make sure that everyone understands that this booklet that we're going to be working out of today, and the information we're going to be sharing today, is for informational purposes only. It's for education. This is not to replace your accountant or your financial advisor. I'm a member just like you. I pay dues just like you. So I'm not here to tell you that you have to follow this by heart and forget whoever else is telling you anything else. Okay? But at the end of the day, and I'm going to keep coming back to this, at the end of the day, if you do need that professional help, we have a legal service upstairs for you. We have the housing unit. Okay? So there are resources here that can help you with. Now, you all have a book. We all have post-its that we got, okay, when we sign in, little post-it that we got. And you should have a pen or a pencil. Make sure, because what I want you to do is I want you to, whatever notes you make here, I want you to make notes that are good notes. So anything that you have to make on the side, you can write it on a post-it to keep track of it. So let's look at what we're going to cover. So the booklet is broken down to 3 sections. There is a bluish green, okay, for those of you that think it's green, and for those of you that think it's blue. So we're going to call it blue-green. There's a yellow section, there's a red section, okay? And we're going to cover them today here. Now the blue section can be used to help people build a clear picture of their income and their spending. Okay. The yellow section is going to, can be used to think about goals and identify ways that you can increase your income and other resources and cut expenses. Your spending. And then the red one is going to be homework. Okay, but we're going to explain that homework before you leave. Okay, so we're not going to be like your 10th grade math teacher that just gave you the worksheet. But we're going to, so we're going to explain that piece to you before you head out. Now, how to look at this book. The book is a folding, so I want to make sure that as we're covering a lot of the information, I want you to see how to work this book. So the book has a tool description, okay? Has a worksheet that we're going to go through. It has a step further on the back of the page. Okay? So if you look at this one here, this is the tool, this is the description. This is spend, you can go to income tracker, which is the first one. So this is the tool, right? Then here, this is the worksheet. And if you turn the page in the back, that is the step further. Okay. Now, okay, so let me stop. Is this the part that we're doing the show of hands? Is it?
Yeah, or a little bit before, we'll start here.
Okay. So you should have been done which piece, which part?
We haven't fully decided, but maybe before we, like right
Before
before,
we
right
spend
after
the book.
CFPB. Yeah.
Right after CFPB. Okay. So, we all know, back on presentation. So we all know that, we've been raised in a culture that for some of us at home, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about spending, we don't talk about debt. I know in my household, it was more of you work very hard, you go to school, you work hard, then you get out of school and you get a job and you work harder, and then you hopefully pray. You also got to pray, right? Because you have to pray, right? Hopefully you pray enough and you work hard enough that things just somehow work out. Okay? But we all know that now, we all know that that really necessarily doesn't really work for all of us. Some people it do, but I know for me it hasn't worked. So by show of hands, understand that we're in a judgment-free zone. Okay, this is home. Okay. Show of hands. We are here, this is home, this is a judgment-free zone. But just so we can get on the mindset, by a show of hands, how many of you know where all of your income comes from? Where it comes from? Right? That's simple, right? Why? Because you get paid. You get paid the weekly or bi-weekly. So you know where it's coming from. You know if you have a second job. You know if you receive some financial assistance, right? You know if your parents still help you out. I know for me it's in the other way. I help my parents out, so my dad knows where that money's coming from, right? So that's a few of you. So good. So how about show of hands again? How many of you know where all of your money is going to when you spend it? That one is a little bit more, is a little tougher. Why? Because some of us do know, and some of us, we just go through the week. So when something is needed, we buy it. When something needs to be paid for, we just pay for it. So we kind of have an idea, okay? But maybe not. So we're going to cover some of that stuff today. Now, this one is key. And this one, I had to do a lot of soul searching for it. It wasn't only financial planning. There's a lot of soul searching for it because I need to really realize when all of my bills were due. So, any of you, by a show of hands, know when all of your bills are due. Not when you pay for them. When they do. Give you an example. If you rent, when is rent due? The first. I I pay on the 10th. Okay, so I know it's due on the 1st, but I still push it and I pay on the 10th. Okay, so it's not when you pay for it, it's when it's due. All right, so then we jump into this piece and then we move forward. So on income tracker, okay. So we're gonna identify where all of your money comes from. So what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna get a total picture of your income and your financial, all of your income, every single week and month, where does it come from? And remember when your funds are coming in. That means, don't count on it for Tuesday because it's coming in on Thursday or Friday. So we're gonna identify a lot of that. And think about how to plan your next expenses to avoid gaps in your ability to pay. In other words, we're gonna figure out so you don't come up short.
He always comes short.
Yeah.
He's got a juggler. Hey,
Usually.
he's got a juggler.
Some months things, in
Not gonna do my
reality,
dance.
some months things do change.
Absolutely. That's a great question. Okay? Because, I don't know, was that a question or a statement?
That was a statement.
That's a great statement.
I
Okay,
know
because
December, not just because of Christmas, my expenses increase because that's the month that my insurance for my house is due annually, and usually it goes up. So I always make sure I have additional money in December because I know,
On top of Christmas, you have that? Ooh,
right, I know
That's a
December.
rough month, brother.
I know that. And I know if my house, what's it called, is gonna go up, my taxes are gonna go a little more because if the value of the house is gonna go up a little more, my taxes are. So I mean, anticipate in December, because I bought the house in December, these things may come up. So I kind of mentally plan for that.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah, nobody get no gift because I know what's coming.
The last kid don't get nothing.
Right.
I was the last kid in my house. You know what? That's why I got probably
It's
to
a system, a mental system.
So it's good that you bring that up, Kenny, because we're gonna cover some of those things today, okay? So here, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna look at this worksheet here, and we're gonna take the pen out, okay, because we're gonna work on this together. So for sake of saying, is we're already towards the end of September, let's just call this October. So this is gonna be the month of October. Now, we're not gonna do the whole worksheet. What we wanna do is we're gonna give you an idea, okay, and explain to you how it works. So when you get home, you have a better understanding of it and how to complete it and follow up with it. So we all know we have a job, right? Thanks to our great union, District 37, right? Not because the mayor loves us and he thinks that we're doing great for her. Because of our union, we have a job. Now, think about this. Do you get paid weekly? Do you get paid every 2 weeks? Do you get paid at the beginning of the month, the first week, middle of the month, the third week? So you're gonna write down pay. Okay? Paycheck. Then another thing that you're gonna do is that you're gonna think about this. Do you have any government programs, any subsidies that you receive, right? Or housing, or anything like that. Also, any disability benefits. Does anyone in your household, other than yourself, receive any disability benefits that are part of your household income? Financial support, what does that mean? If you're a single parent and you receive financial support from the other parent, okay? Or do you receive support from someone else, from your parent or something like that, from a brother or sister that they just help you out? And also, it also lists areas for additional, okay, just in case it's not covering that category. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put pay, okay, and just for the sake of it, let's say someone here receives support, so let's say you get paid $500 a week, and the financial support is $500, but it's a month, but it does come in at the first week of the month. See that? Any questions so far? All right. So then on the following section, it says weekly totals. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add every single week. So week 1, you're gonna add it up, total it there. week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And then the following step is to actually total the month. So if you have 500, 500, 500, 500, but then you also have 500 here on the first week, that first week is 1,000, and the other 3 weeks is 500. Does that make sense? All right.
That's what makes some funny, bro. If you get paid every week, you want us to put the net or the gross for make a week.
What you bring home.
Okay, we'll bring home.
That's what you pay your bills
We
with.
make sure, like it's in the union, clearly defined.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
In addition, if you get in a particular income, once a month, you want us to put that in the additional, if it's not from a government program, because I haven't had it. So I put that in.
Perfect example,
So I
yes.
put that in for once a month, because in other words, my first week I'm good, the rest of them I'm broke. So I put in what I make that week, and then I put in for I'm talking about the first week.
Mhm.
Then I put what I'm getting from my tax. Then week 2, 3, and 4, and if there's a 5th week in that month, then I put it.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I got it right.
No, absolutely. So you got it absolutely right. Okay. Have you seen this before?
No, we just
Never
organized.
seen the workshop?
You got some
Okay.
organized people
I just-
here.
yeah,
You
just-
might not have the other rest
Just
of
checking.
like that, but these 3 right here, 3 organized.
So remember on the booklet, right? Because this is a working tool. So on the booklet at the back, you're gonna have further steps, I'm sorry. I have an accent, so you gotta forgive me. Okay, if you don't understand the word that I'm using, just ask me. So everyone is open. It might mean something completely different. Okay? So, is your income more or less, ask yourself, right? These are good questions. Is your income more or less than you thought it was? Okay. I know that my wife thought that she only makes like $25,000. But when we put it in paper, she was almost making double that. Why? Because we never saw it on paper. And all we did was get paid and pay bills. So you felt like she was making $25,000. One more question. Does this feel, Kenny, this goes to your statement earlier, does this feel like a typical month to you? Right, so I know for Kenneth, he shared that December is completely different.
Right.
Okay?
I'm good for 2 more months.
You're good to, that's right, October, November.
Right.
Now, let's move on to the next one.
This one we
Spending
get
track.
paid 5 times,
Spend. Let's
right?
go.
Extra week, baby.
Yeah.
Extra week.
Now, let's move on to the next one, spending track.
The bill collector know that.
Track your spending for the month. Analyze your spending by the categories. Identify areas that you might cut back on, and set goals to keep on track. So we're gonna open this up, and I like this one. This is one of my favorite ones. Use this spending tracker to consider what is important to you. Everyone in this room is completely different. Okay? A lot of the stuff might look like needs. A lot of the stuff might feel like wants. Okay? So everyone's different. There's no wrong answer. We're gonna do a few. Who in here knows how much they pay for their cell phone? Raise your hand. All right. So how much do you pay?
I paid $233.
Now.
Only because I paid my granddaughter's
Oh,
bill, not
good
just my bill.
question, good question, good question, good question. So, because they cannot pay for it, okay, we're gonna add up the whole thing,
Right.
okay? So it's how much, 200 and what?
233.
So on cell phone, now, another question is this, which week do you pay that cell phone bill? Is
This
it on the
week.
first
This
week,
week.
the second week?
This week.
Okay, so what week is this?
It's the third week.
I should have looked at that before.
Third
right?
week.
So on the third week of the month, you pay that $233, right? So Carmen, what you're gonna do here, follow me for a second, everyone, okay? You're not gonna put the $233 that Carmen pays, you're gonna put what you pay, okay? But you're gonna think about what week you pay for it, and you're gonna enter it there. All right? Let's do another one. On, let's say, how many of you, by show of hands, how many of you take the train to come into work? Okay. Do you buy your Metro card weekly or monthly?
Monthly,
Monthly. How much you pay for that Metro?
$297.
$297. Do you receive any assistance from work?
Yes.
Okay, so take the $297, subtract that. Now, does that money come out of your check or do you pay for it?
Comes out of my check.
Comes out of your check, okay. So comes out every week. So what you wanna do is you wanna list how much it comes out every week, okay? Because remember, this is all about getting a clear picture of how your money is being spent. We already looked at how your money is coming in. We're gonna look at how your money is being spent, okay?
So, going back to the question that you answered with Kenny in terms of the money that we take home. So I don't see that. How do I account for that?
The portion.
What do you mean by you don't see it?
Because before taxes.
So I don't, before taxes, we don't transit check.
Oh.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
Stop making this difficult, okay? Let's say that you don't have the transit check and it
At
comes
the end
out.
of the year, you have to do it by year, and then divide it by weekly that you pay.
When do you?
Because at the end of the year,
We're
you
gonna
get a
have a lot of our
statement.
members.
No, because I
on
know, at
transit
the end of
check.
the year, you have a report
That's a good question.
on your W-2.
Right.
And at the end of the year, it tells you, this is the money that you spent, and this is the money you
Pre-tax,
saved.
post-tax, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the pre-tax, what we used to do, like in my other, when we did the training, the money that you pay for it the entire year, you can only wait till the end of the year to know what amount it is. Because I don't know if now in the pay stubs, it says a weekly. I don't know if you get that. It does? So that amount, you
But it's
can,
already accounted for because you've already lowered your income. And so as long as you put your income, that goes back to the gross versus net. As long as you put your income in as net, which is the second, gross is the first, so then that's already taken into account. What I would say is this ends up being extra. Like, do you ever spend more than $297? Oh, no, because yours is monthly. Some people might. And so if it's more, then that would be anything
So
extra.
should we go on the presentation on culture, should we retract using transportation, use another one?
no, because that's gonna be a
But
question.
yeah.
That's gonna be a question, 'cause a lot of members have Metro cards.
Yeah.
A lot of
They
them,
got
so-
Some folks, do, and some folks don't buy monthly because.
Right, I
They
don't.
can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can't afford it.
yeah.
So
They
let's talk
actually
about
say
that
more.
one later and see how we
They
can.
do say.
I think it's good to call it out, and then when you get the question, deal with it just like we did. I think exactly what we did right here.
Okay.
I don't know what you guys think.
No, I think that's fine.
All right, so moving forward, okay, so do you see how that works? Right? So it's not only knowing how much you pay, but it's also identifying when did you pay for it. Now, you're gonna go home, okay, and you're gonna work on this, your debts, you're gonna do the same thing. So your credit card, your department store, your student loan, if you have one, and if you do have student loans, by the way, remember, this is 37 offers a student debt workshop, so I'm gonna see your face again soon, right? All right.
Bro, I'm not trying to make this complicated, but, you know, some of our expenses, it fluctuates.
Mhm.
You know, they fluctuate based on seasons, and they fluctuate based on demand and needs. So, we only can give an estimated, what we actually, like food, some months, you know, we buy a whole bunch of stuff, but, you know, we cook out, people come over. Then some months we look in the mirror, and we don't say, we ain't buying a damn thing, because we need to lose some weight, so we tell, there's less food in the house, let's be honest with you.
Mhm.
So, these things change. And, you know, some bills, you may have $1,000 bill, then you paid it off, and that bill is not there, but it was there 2 months ago. So I'm just saying, in reality, it changes. It changes based on our needs and based on what we can afford.
So the good thing about the CFPB, the way that they put these tools, is that remember, this is spending tracker. So we're gonna track your spending monthly. Okay? It's not a budget.
Good, don't get me wrong.
This is not a budget tool. This is not for you to say, I'm only gonna spend $100 on this every single month. Because we know that every month is gonna be a little bit different, right?
I have a question. So I'm gonna explain this to my member. My member has a child care subsidy, and the child care subsidy comes in, let's say the second week, but every month it's not the same amount. for the childcare subsidy. So that's one of the questions that they will ask. Because if you have a subsidy for childcare with the Department of Social Services, they calculate it according to the income.
So,
But that's gonna be,
Yeah, but
So-
you're not directly spending out of your pocket, right?
No, you are, because you pay. Because let's say I get a subsidy for childcare, this week I made $500, I'm getting a $30 subsidy. But next week,
So it's still.
every week is a different amount. Next week,
You kinda-
it's gonna be something different.
right, that's exactly right. Yeah, so you're gonna count that as part of your income, and then you're just gonna take it into, like, you just know that you have a childcare, where is that? Is that there somewhere? Education and childcare.
So you do it
You
in the
just-
week that you get the,
I think, no.
but the thing is,
I would add it here. On your income first, and then you just know, even if it's, because it's, a subsidy usually isn't everything. So let's say you get $30 one week, but you know you spend 70, let's be honest, on childcare. So you know it's still not perfect, but.
but like,
you're
in that area is
on
gonna
the
be,
income.
I'm just thinking about the questions that we're
I'm
gonna
nervous,
get.
right?
Because,
This is interesting.
yeah, because the childcare, when you are employee of the city of New York, they do what is called, subsidy according to your income. And that could be also for
And it-
food.
Can I ask, is it based on last month's income, is it like last?
No,
month's
they do
income?
it weekly.
Oh, it's
Some of them do it
weekly.
weekly,
Okay.
because they deal directly, like if they have a school, a particular daycare, you bring your pay stub, and then for this week, they calculate, it's a scale, and they give you whatever it is, and then they'll submit the paperwork so that they can they usually get the pay later, the city pays them at a lagger, but then they ask you to cut, like when you come get your child, you do $32, and when you come next week, 52, it depends.
So I think what we can say, and maybe we build this into, the way that I have found using this, just personally trying to use this thing, I have found it that I use the book for my analysis, my like initial analysis, and I just did the last month. I just chose a typical month, and I was shocked at how much I ate out, for example. And like, you just find the things that you're surprised about, and then if you're really intense about it, I know people who have created Excel sheets using this kind of format, and then they continue to track moving forward. Because I think maybe what we can
But that's the
say-
most important. I think that's a good tool, because most people have a problem understanding where their money goes.
Right.
Like I said, our members, they don't make a lot of money, so they scrapping, paying this week and the next week, and a little bit of paying everything a little bit, so that they could catch up.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great tool for them to be able to just take it and,
And I think it's supposed to be that, it's supposed to be initial analysis. Because once you have, like, if you've had more you've been thinking about December, like, I had like that first December when I hit you was a surprise.
Right, but after the years come,